Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. It's the brother Bayan here to bring you a quick lesson. Prior to get started, I want to give infinite honors and prayers unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Kakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me the truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, Yuhakim and Yuak, you brothers and sisters in Hebrew that believe. Okay? And the title of this lesson is going to be keeping the first things first, or keeping the first thing first, however you may say it. You know, it's pretty much going to harp on, the mindset that we should be in of handling the Lord's business. All right. And, the biggest example that we could get, in the scriptures, obviously, there's many examples of the men of the Lord standing on business. But, I'm going to get the account with Yahushua when he was a little boy. All right. So kicking it off, this is the book of St. Luke, chapter 2. And 41. All right. I'm reading an NLT also to make it plain. All right. At the top of it, it says, Yahushua speaks with the teachers. It says, every year, Yahushua parents went to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. When Yahushua was 12 years old, they attended the festival as usual. After the celebration was over, they started home to Nazareth, but Yahushua stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents didn't miss him at first because they assumed he was among the other travelers. But when he didn't show up that evening, they started looking for him among their relatives and friends. When they couldn't find him, they went back to Jerusalem to search for him there. 3 days later, they finally discovered him in a temple sitting among the religious teachers, listening to them and asking questions. All who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. His parents didn't know what to think. Son, his mother said to him, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been frantic searching for you everywhere. But why did you need to search, he asked. Didn't you know that I must be in my father's house? All right, and then in the NLT, in the KJV, that last part obviously hits harder. It says in the KJV, Luke chapter 2 and 48, it says, and when they saw him, they were amazed, and his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing. And he said unto them, how is it that ye sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my father's business? All right. And that's the mindset that we should be in, man. All right. Obviously, Yahushua was the biggest example of what to do, walking here on this earth in this flesh. All right. As a 12-year-old boy, Yahushua already had it in his mind that he was about his father's business and the work had to be done. All right. So that should be, motivation for you, if you've been in any type of spirit, being down or so, lackadaisical spirit, if you may say, if you're dealing with, these type of demons or whatever, what's going on around you, you just know that the job has to be done. All right. And the Lord will make sure that it gets done, whether it's with you or whether it's somebody else. All right. But you don't want to be that person, to have the opportunity to do this work, and just throw it away. You got to be about your Lord's, got to be about the Lord's business. All right. And it's an honor, man. Because again, the Lord could have chose anybody, but he gave you this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right. So these talents that the Lord has given us, you got to use it. All right. You don't want to be that one guy, roughly paraphrasing in the scriptures, that hid his talents. All right. And then multiply it. All right. The Lord gave us gifts, and this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, to handle business. So do so. Okay. Next, I'm gonna get the book of St. Matthew, chapter 7. All right, and once you keep this, the center of your life, everything else is going to fall in place. Okay, and that's again, that's the premises of the video, but, a lot of people can fall away, from understanding that. All right. you might get too caught up in the world and, you know, this and that and the third, family problems, female problems, just problems. All right. But as long as you keep the truth first, all right, everything else is just going to fall where it needs to be. All right. But this is the most important thing in your entire life right now. All right. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. All right. So you need to be on it, Jake, you know? So again, this is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 7, and 24. It says, therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. All right? And that's plain. All right? If that rock being a foundation, a stable foundation, all right, immovable, okay, and that's what you want to set your foundation, you know, on Yahushua being that rock, this truth being that rock, okay. But it's going to go in further and say, verse 26, and everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. All right. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. All right. And I'm going to just read it through. And it came to pass, when Yahushua had ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. Okay. But again, what it talks about building your foundation on sand, that's not stable. All right. And many people are building their foundations on that sand, on temporary things that it's holding for a minute. But again, once that rain and wind and blow and, you know, all of these tragic events start to happen, all right, that thing is your foundation is gonna fall away easy. All right, it's gonna just wash away. All right. And again, that's something believing on Esau, Edom, the so-called white man system. All right. If your hope, you know, is here in this damn devil, all right, it's all going to crumble, you know, along with his kingdom. All right. So again, you need to keep your foundation. You know, the Lord is your foundation. All right. That's your beginnings. All right. That's how you get back to the basics. You know, that's how you make everything operate smoothly. All right. Dealing with the Lord first. All right. And I'm gonna get it with I'm gonna end it with one more quick one. You know, plain and simple. This is Sirach chapter 4 and 28. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. All right. So as long as you keeping the first things first, all right, the Lord is going to be with you. All right. Keep this truth first, and the Lord is going to fight for you. All right. The Lord is our lawyer at the moment. All right. We're on trial. Our faith is on trial. And Yahushua is our lawyer. So as long as we show the Lord that we want this crown, all right, that we're putting this work in, you know, we're doing all the things that's needed to do, all right, the Lord is going to fight for us, all right. So I think that was pretty much, you know, plain and straight to the point, you know, and I pray that this lesson was edifying. I'm trying to get out of here. I want to give infinite honors and prayers unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim HaKadosh, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, you Akim, you Akwat, with you brothers and sisters in the Hebrew that believe. And Shalom.